The Carabao Cup continued today with action from the round of 16 in an encounter from the Emirates seen live on SportsMax. Arsenal, through goals from Callum Chambers and Eddie Nketiah, beat EPL side Leeds 2-0. We have those highlights.
It is Arsenal to get us underway. He's on to attack this corner. Nearly got up, and Pepe heads it back across, and was it over the line? It was Callum Chambers with his first contribution. It looked over. It was over. There you go, first touch. Arsenal are going to bring on Albert Sambi-Lokonga and Alex Lacazette, but in the meantime, that's a clever touch from Nketiah. And Arsenal surely now are heading for the quarter-finals. He's delighted to see that nestle into the corner. Look at this. Commanding performance in the second half from Arsenal. Leeds had their chances all right, but once Callum Chambers had given Mikel Arteta's side the lead, they never really looked back.
So Arsenal there, George, 2-0 over Leeds, and we have been saying that Arsenal, they have been getting good results. They're unbeaten in the last 8, only up from here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the starting 11 that they put out today. They started Bernd Leno in goal, the German. They had Cedric at right back, Rob Holding and Ben White, their big money buy from Brighton at centre half. They had Kolasinac, who doesn't get a game often these days, at left back. Then they had El Neni, the Egyptian, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, utility player in the midfield. They had Pepe, Smith Rowe, Martinelli and Nketiah at the point of the attack. And if you look at those he summoned from the bench, he called Callum Chambers a substitute for Ben White. Lacazette came on for Smith Rowe. Sambi-Lokonga came on for El Neni. And Nuno Tavares, another centre-half, came in for Rob Holding. So he didn't need his star man, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, for this one today. So all in all...
So he's resting them for what?
He had a... Well, to say, you say rest, and it's a good point to tease, because guess what? Unlike the big guns in the league this year, and I batter Arsenal all the time, but they are a big name.
Well, you can't talk about them right now with your team.
Well, that's true. But the point I'm making is this: the big guns have European commitments. They have Champions League football. Arsenal have nothing but the league and the domestic cups to play. But even so, Arteta still took the chance to rotate his squad. So it wasn't his strongest selection, but he probably figured he didn't need his strongest selection to take care of a Leeds team that have been rotten in the Premier League so far this year. And he would have been very pleased, Mariah, that the boys got the job done. Look at this finish from Nketiah. It was a miss kick. He didn't get the connection that he really wanted, and he was lucky because he did everything brilliantly. I don't know what the defender was on here. The two headers were rubbish head decisions. Excellent touch by Nketiah. Superb touch to bring it under his spell.
It's just the finishing.
That kick, it was botched. It came off the wrong part of his foot, and he was lucky, mighty relieved to see it roll in at the far post. But well deserved nonetheless, and Arteta will be happy. Job done. They move on to the next round.
Yeah, and you mentioned Callum Chambers coming in, George, and maybe you can talk to us a bit about the impact that he has had on this Arsenal team.
Look, Callum Chambers is one of those players. He is not... The Arsenal fans will tell you. Arsenal, in their heyday, Callum Chambers doesn't get into the squad. But he's been with them from a very young age. And he's had loan spells. He's had some severe difficulties. The thing about him is, if I may be kind, is that he's a player who has done a job for them at various positions across the fence, in midfield. I've even seen him, in a match, pressed into service as an auxiliary winger. But he is an honest, trying player. The Arsenal fans will tell you that he's not the best, and sometimes he infuriates them, sometimes he infuriates me. And I'm not an Arsenal fan, watching Arsenal games. But guess what? He opened the scoring for them today in the 55th minute, so you can't argue against his contribution today.
For real, for sure. But I'm going to move across to the next match. I just want a yes or no answer. Can Arsenal go on to win the Carabao Cup, seeing that they don't really have too many other competitions to focus on?
It's the Man City Cup. So whichever team beats Man City will win.
I only asked you that because I heard you say that at the office.
It's a Man City Cup.
But anyway,
sure.
We're going to continue over at Stamford Bridge. European champions and Premier League leaders Chelsea were made to toil for their victory over Southampton. We also have those highlights for you.
So it's Chelsea versus Southampton, first versus 16th in the Premier League. Hakim Ziyech with the Chelsea corner. Oh, it's in! It's Havertz! Well, it was Walker-Peters who was marking him. Didn't even jump. Away. This could be an opportunity for Southampton. Oh, it's in by Adams! There's the equaliser for Southampton. Southampton surged forward. Kyle Walker-Peters with the first effort through Aretha Balaga's legs. Jeering Chelsea fans behind the goal. And Armstrong scores. Chelsea's first penalty. No problem. Theo Walcott prepares to take Southampton's second penalty. And he's missed. Can Romeu keep this shootout alive? He has to score, and he has, nervelessly. Reece James to put Chelsea into the Carabao Cup quarter-final. He's done it!
Well, of course, now Chelsea, they have advanced to the Carabao Cup quarter-finals, George. And we were making the point about Arsenal. Maybe it's actually more applicable where Chelsea is concerned because Thomas Tuchel resting a lot of his top-tier players, you know, getting the opportunity to feel out the chemistry, to just see what these other players are capable of. And I mean, the youngsters getting the job done.
Well, you say youngsters, and yes, there were some young players involved, but these are players who are also heavily involved in the first team. I can take up the point that you're making to say that if City is beaten in this Carabao Cup, Chelsea will be the one to do it because guess what?
Agreed.
The team was changed from, this was not his strongest team, but the team that he put out was very strong. Kepa in goal, their record purchase for a goalkeeper, £75 million. Reece James at right back, Trevor Chalobah, a Malang star in a back three, then Hudson-Odoi, Kovacic, Saul Niguez, Marcos Alonso, Hakim Ziyech, Ross Barkley, and Kai Havertz, a German opening the scoring with that header. So this was...
Not the best, but still strong.
But better than most teams can feel as their strongest 11. That's how strong Chelsea are.
Yeah.
A word on Arsenal again, because there's an Arsenal connection in this game.
Okay.
One of the men who missed for Southampton, Theo Walcott, 32 years old. I don't know. Theo Walcott is a few years older than I am. I don't have grey hairs yet. Theo Walcott is a multi-millionaire. Look at the number of grey hairs in his beard and in his head. He must be going through a very stressful existence. But this is why people get angry at footballers, and I don't know if it's rational. Because here's what, that shot may have been tipped onto the post by Kepa. Theo Walcott was taken to the 2014? May have been 2014 was how many years ago? It was just 7 years ago. No.
We're in
2010. He was taken to the World Cup very young by Sven-Göran Eriksson. He went to the World Cup as a 17-year-old before he had even kicked a ball for Arsenal. That was how highly thought of he was. Played 270 games for the Gunners, back at his boyhood club Southampton now. And people say, well, a player of that experience, a player of that quality, a player who has played big Champions League games and scored big Premier League games, you would expect him to be the one setting the example and scoring a penalty in a situation such as this. But he misses, and Southampton blow a chance to advance deep into a competition and win a trophy, when a trophy really isn't within their grasp in real terms. So the big name players disappoint people, and that's why people are so hard on them, especially when you have someone like Theo Walcott's pedigree, is the point I'm making.
Yeah, got it. And most times when you expect the most from a player, George, they tend to disappoint you. Well, we're continuing now over in La Liga. 3 matches were played today, and we have the highlights from the clash between Espanyol and Athletic Bilbao.
I've seen Espanyol take a series of victories here in impressive fashion against Alaves, Real Madrid and Cadiz. Someone falls loose, appeal for handball. And the referee, initially at least, awards the spot kick. That one will go to a VAR check, it seems. Tomas lines it up and scores. It's another goal for RDT at the RCDE Stadium. Lekwe was making his way down the left. He's won that away from Aleix Vidal. It drops kindly for him. He makes the sprint, tries to cover back, and it's a goal for Atletico that levels things up. Iñaki Williams. Aleix Vidal is slow to get back after losing the ball. It's a nutmeg on Cabrera, and Williams just waits for his moment. Williams, look at the space for Berenguer in the middle, and he somehow pushed the ball over the top. There's a bit of a set to there, and it's a straight red card for Raul de Tomas. He goes across, takes out Uri Alvarez. Just that light contact, head to chin. The game ends at 1-1 at the RCDE Stadium.
And of course, this draw today putting Espanyol 10th on the La Liga table, George, and causing them to just be 1 point behind one of their biggest rivals, Barcelona. Espanyol would feel as if, if they had only secured that win today, they would have gone ahead of Barcelona. Well,
they were lucky not to lose because Berenguer got the game got the chance to secure the game for Athletic Club at the death, and he skied his effort. Only he would know how he didn't at least work the keeper from there. There are things that happen in football that just leaves me with a sense of injustice, and VAR, the advent of VAR, I thought, would have cured football, would have purged football of that. If you go back to the incident that saw Raul de Tomas get sent off for Espanyol, yes, both players were approaching each other in a menacing form. De Tomas puts his forehead in, his opponent collapses to the ground, holds his forehead as if he was met with an almighty headbutt. The referee sends off Raul de Tomas because they're saying that was dangerous play from you. But the simulation by the referee, by the opponent, knowing if I wait until he just leans his forehead into me and I collapse and hold my head and pretend that I've been met with a mighty headbutt, he's going to get sent off. We're going to get rid of him. I think this is one of the biggest pieces of slackness in professional sport, and football maintains it. Football continues to keep it in its system, and it is a blight on the game because blatant acts of gamesmanship such as this, unsporting conduct, they deserve sanction. So yes, if you're going to send off Raul de Tomas for me, you got to send off Uri as well, because guess what? He knew what he was doing. Look at Uri.
Yeah, he's literally pushing him.
Both of them are at it. And look at what de Tomas does. Just leans into him and he collapses. Oh my God, oh. I hate that. Football needs to get rid of that. Both of you are getting a red card because guess what? You leaned into him in an unsporting way, but you collapsed as if you had been shot by a beam gun from the crowd. You are trying to get him sent off. I'm sending him off, but you can join him. Both of you can have a conversation on the way off.
But it's so plain and clear, though, and those little things really worry me.
And that's what
the normal person can see.
But that's what even so say the normal person, Mr. Mariah.
George, that was so obvious.
It is, but I'm saying say it wasn't so obvious. It is on this occasion. VAR comes in and says, referee, there was simulation on behalf of on the part of the victim in that fracas. Red card.
Just remember, human also handling VAR.
Red card.
We go to break and we'll be right back.